7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hey everybody, it's the Grubby Pirate, and thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm going to provide you with my 2 pesos for budgeting to live in the Philippines. Now, every expat vlogger on YouTube has presented their monthly budget formulas and opinions, and I've watched pretty much every single one of them. And of course, every single one of them is different, and mine certainly will be different from every one of theirs as well. And mine should certainly be different than yours. But my formula, unlike theirs, is going to be explained for you to use for yourself. And believe me, it works. Not just for me, but it's going to work for you. Now, the first thing to be clarified is that everyone is unique, obviously, and everyone is different. So everyone's monthly budget is going to be different as well. And every vlog you watch, including mine, should only be viewed as advice. But unlike any other expat vlog, I'm going to provide you with a proven formula and a template, which, once you plug in your details, will certainly work for you, and only you, like it was designed for, and for who it should work for, you. Not me, not Joe Blow, but you. So let's get started on that monthly budget thing. Now, the first thing you need to do is know exactly, and I mean exactly, how much you have to work with. So in other words, how much coin do you have? How long are you planning on living in the Philippines? And exactly, again, exactly how much are you going to have to work with every month? And now that you have that, it's time to first and foremost have your exit plan in place in case shit hits the fan and you have to bug out for any particular reason. So before we can even get started, let's plan on getting out. And believe me, shit happens in the Philippines, so you better be ready for it before you're ready for anything else. Now, before we start playing around with numbers and formulas and monthly budgets, the first thing you have to do, once you have that total figure in your mind, you have to have an exit strategy. So what we need to do is subtract the exact cost it's going to cost you to get out of Dodge. Now, this is going to include however much it's going to cost you to get to the airport from wherever you are in the Philippines if shit does hit the fan. Okay, then it's going to cost, there could be terminal fees to get out of that airport. So you need to have that cost in your mind as well. And of course, there's definitely going to be last second expensive flights out. So you need to have that as well. Now, you also need to know how much you might need to get back onto your feet or to stay on your feet once you arrive wherever you have to go. Now, once you have all that figured out, and I hope you do, now we can talk about your living comfortably and the way you want to be in the Philippines. Because rest assured, you've got your ass covered now and you're ready for that paradise, which is the Philippines. And believe me, living comfortably in the Philippines is paradise. Living uncomfortably in the Philippines, it can be hell. Now, we're not quite ready to start throwing numbers into a formula or coming up with a monthly budget at this point. There's still a couple of things you need to think about. One of those things is to determine why you really want to live in the Philippines. What is taking you there personally? For myself, I want a higher standard of living and a more comfortable living than I can afford in North America. And that's why I chose to live in the Philippines. But you need to know your reasons. And you need to know if your budget is also for you and you alone, or are you going to be providing for anyone while you're here? I personally provide for my wife and our 9-year-old son. So my budget reflects that and has to allow for that. And you need to decide what yours is going to allow for. You on your own, or are you going to be supporting anybody? Now, if you're single, when you arrive in the Philippines, the chances are very good that you may not be that way for long. So you may need to be prepared for that situation in itself and the changes that situation might affect in your budget. Now, once that is, the situation, you may also be expected to pay a form of family tax. In other words, you're going to help the family. Now, I don't personally pay a family tax. I refuse to. And I've explained that the minute I met somebody. And hopefully you won't either. But it's something you have to lay out on the table and lay it out immediately. Or you may have some expectations thrown on you that could cause problems as well. But once you have that all figured out, we can finally talk numbers and get onto your budget. I'm sorry about all the rambling, but you know what? What I just explained, I've never heard or seen on another vlog. And you know what? Without mentioning all of that, I find it's a little irresponsible. Not necessarily bad advice, but just a lack of advice. But now you've got it, so let's get on to that budget. So now you have your monthly or yearly total on hand. Now I live in the Philippines 9 months a year, and I have to go back to Canada for 3 months a year to work in order to live the way that I do. And this provides me with $30,000, which is what I place in my Philippine bank account. So $30,000 is what I have to live on for 9 months a year in the Philippines. Now, I divide this obviously into 9 months that I spend in paradise every year, which provides me with 133,457 pesos a month. That's my monthly budget, 133,457 pesos. And yes, from this point, everything will be discussed in pesos unless otherwise mentioned. I'll leave it to you to discover today's exchange rate. But again, my monthly budget, 133,457 pesos. That's $30,000 in 9 months. And now you've got your numbers. So divide that. Basically, let's make a yearly budget. So whatever your grand total number is, after again your exit plan, everything else, but what you have now on hand, divide that by however many months you're going to spend in the Philippines. So now it's formula time. And in all honesty, this formula is magic, and it will work wonders for anyone and everyone. But again, it's going to be different for everyone, and that's part of the magic. So get your pens and paper ready, and let's get at it. Now this budget is designed by allowing a given percentage based on your entire monthly budget to be utilized on certain aspects or categories in order to live a good life, whether you're in the Philippines or really whether you're anywhere else for that matter. And it's broken down into 7 categories that will basically cover your ass in every aspect. And these categories include allowances for housing, food, transportation, utilities, medical expenses, personal expenses, and travel. And each of these categories can be personally and individually subcategorized to fit and work for you personally. Now, if you use this template, I can personally assure you, you will be able to live your life to its fullest on your budget. Now, let me help you break these down individually, and let's start off with housing. Of course, housing, like everything else in everyone's budget, will be different for everyone. My formula recommends that you should allow at least 33% of your entire monthly budget for your home in the Philippines. Now, in most cases, like in mine, your housing expense will not even come close to that 33% allowance. But it will depend on a few things. Number one, where you choose to live in the Philippines, the amenities you choose in your home, and of course, the area of town where you choose to live. But choose wisely. Like I mentioned, you should never even have to go close to that 33% allowance, but choose wisely. Personally, I choose to live my dream while I'm in the Philippines. And I live in a very comfortable beachfront, 2-bedroom, 2-story, 2-bathroom, or CR as they're called in the Philippines, beachfront home. And you know what? It's beautiful, but it's not extravagant. But it is my idea of paradise, and it's why I choose to live there. And it cost me 19,000 pesos per month, which for my location in town is considered very expensive. But again, it's beachfront. It's my idea of paradise. But to them, it's considered expensive. I could find a place definitely for, as low as 5,000. I looked and I saw, but they're not what I want. I want my dream while I'm in the Philippines. So I choose that 19,000 a month. Now, my 33% allowance is 44,000 per month. So subtract my 19K and I'm saving 25,000 per month, which can go or be used anywhere else, which means happy, happy, joy, joy. Now, I'm ahead and I hope you will be too. So let's move on and go to food. So food, here we come. Food will most likely be the category that differs the most with everyone, and for many reasons. Now, my budget formula allows for 20% of my monthly budget, which in my case is 27,000 pesos. Now, I personally eat breakfast at home and usually lunch and dinner out because I hate cooking and cleaning up. And even though my wife is a very good cook, it's actually less expensive for us to dine out than it is to eat at our home and shop at the market. Now, I eat well, not great, but I eat well. And we're not talking McDonald's or fast food, but I don't enjoy five-star gourmet either. So we're right smack dab in the middle. And again, my formula allows me 20% of my monthly budget. And in all honesty, I generally nail it, I nail it right on the head, and occasionally, maybe slightly over, but never drastically over. Now, transportation. Transportation is next. For transportation, I would again recommend that you allow 20% of your total monthly budget to get you around the Philippines in whichever way you decide to get around. Again, for myself personally, this is 27,000 pesos per month or 243,000 pesos annually. Now, my day-to-day choice of transportation in the Philippines is by motorbike. So I purchased 2 scooters. Not high-performance machines, but cool enough to get my ass and my surfboard around town, and one for the gal to boot. However, our scooters only cost 65,000 pesos each, or 130,000 pesos total for both of them, which is 113,000 pesos below our annual budget, which means we have 12,500 pesos per month left or below budget. Now, our monthly fuel cost is 3,100 pesos, which still leaves us 9,400 pesos below budget, which should cover next year's insurance and registration. But the first year of that insurance and registration was included with the retail price of our bikes. So, as you can see, 20% should be good to get you wherever you need to go, however you like to go, and again, wherever you need to go in the Philippines. So moving on, we're headed for personal expenses, and that's up next. I recommend your monthly personal expense budget to be 10% of your entire monthly budget. Now, this budget should include such things as dining out, entertainment, movies, alcohol, massage, nails, haircuts, grooming, all that kind of crap. Now, everyone's will again be different, of course, and my allowance, my 10% allowance gives me 13,000 pesos per month, and I'm always below it at the end of the month. Okay, utilities are next. Let's boogie on to the utilities around the house. Now, whether you're renting or not, you're going to have utility costs in the Philippines. And these are going to include your cell phones, electricity, water, internet, that kind of thing. Now, I recommend you allow 5% of your entire monthly budget to cover these costs. Personally, we use 2 cell phones, and that generally totals about 2,000 pesos per month. Our electricity bill is always high, but that's basically because I've always got the aircon and fans blasting full blast. But it comes to about 1,500 pesos per month. And I don't know anyone who really tops that. Not that I'm proud of it, but again, I don't know anybody that really tops that. Now, our monthly water bill is right around 700 pesos per month as well, which is, again, a little high, but it's not bad in comparison. And our monthly internet cost, it's 980 pesos per month, which basically 1,000 pesos per month. But those are our expenses, and they total 5,200 pesos per month, which is 1,500 pesos below my monthly 5% budget allowance. So we're still under budget and moving on to talk medical. Now, medical costs are something you obviously hope you never incur, but something you should always budget for. And with my budget formula, we certainly are. I recommend to allow 3% of your total monthly budget for medical costs, which should definitely include health insurance, which mine certainly always does. But you should always be prepared for dental emergencies and any minor medical emergencies as well. Now, my health insurance costs 3,600 pesos per month, which covers me for everything and anything up to $10 million US worth of medical attention. And that leaves us 400 pesos per month to allow for anything else that might pop up. You know, especially with Apple, because Apple knows she does not have health insurance. But, like I mentioned, I am a gambling man, and we leave it at 3%, which is entirely up to you. But it's, again, what I recommend is 3% of your total budget be allowed for medical emergencies. Now, last but not least, I think everyone should have a monthly travel budget. So let's head there. So, I'm living in the Philippines because I absolutely love it. And that means I want to see and experience as much of it as I possibly can. And that's why my budget includes a monthly travel allowance. Now, Apple and I, we like to spend at least a week traveling to somewhere we've never been to before and somewhere her passport allows us to go. So we allow 9% of our total monthly budget to dictate where we're going to go, how we're going to get there, where we're going to stay, and what we're going to eat while we're there. So 9% of our total monthly budget is for travel. Now, a lot of the time, we're well over that. But thankfully, my budget is designed to be below in most other regards. So we can make up for that little oversight in this category with all of that. Well, that's pretty much it for my budget, everybody. Again, there's quite a few points. But this budget will provide you with the necessary means of living comfortably on your budget in the Philippines. And that's exactly what it's designed for, is you and your budget only. That's it, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message or leave a comment. I'll definitely get back to you as soon as I can. If you did enjoy it, please throw me a bone, subscribe. I'm the Grubby Pirate, and I am out.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.